Hello students, we are studying the chapter 1 Nutrition in Plants, and I am continuing with the chapter with the topic Heterotrophic Nutrition in Plants. So first of all, what is heterotrophic nutrition? In your earlier classes you have studied autotrophic nutrition, in that the organism was able to prepare its own food by the process of photosynthesis. But in heterotrophic nutrition, no photosynthesis. It can't prepare its own food. It depends for food on other organisms. Like you and I, do we depend on others for our food? Yes, we are taking food which the plants are providing to us, or we are having, some are having other animals also. It means what? They are depending on that, and that animals are directly dependent on what? The plants. So here we all are dependent on the plants for our food. We are not preparing our food, and so that type of nutrition is known as heterotrophic nutrition. In this, the organism depends upon the food, depends on other organism for food. So here now we are studying about the heterotrophic nutrition. The plants are known, the plants which depends on other organisms for food is known as what? Heterotrophs. And basically it is divided into two, that is the parasitic plants and the insectivorous plants. When we are talking about parasitic plants, a parasite, it means what? It is living on other organism, it is living on the other organism, and it is taking its nutrition from that organism by harming it, because it is not giving anything to that organism. Okay, and that type of plants are known as parasitic plants, and on which they are depending, or on which they are taking the food, that organism is known as host. The examples of parasitic plants, as you can see on the board, is Cuscuta or dodder. You can see in the picture, these are wire-like structures which are yellow in color. So here it is unable to prepare its food. It is a total parasite, and it takes the food from other organism by sucking the food from that organism. Okay. Now the next example is mistletoe. This mistletoe, you can see the picture on the board. Here, this is a partial parasite. Why? Because here it can prepare its food, but it doesn't have water and other minerals. It can't take it. So what happens? It takes it from other organism or other plants, and as the result, it is only partially dependent for water as well as what? For the minerals. And so this mistletoe is a partial parasite. Now moving on to the topic insectivorous plants. When we are talking about insectivorous plants, it means what? Something related to insects, isn't it? So here there are plants which are taking in or eating the insects. Why does this happen? We are saying plants can prepare their own food. So why these insectivorous plants? They are taking the food from other insects. So this happens. Why? Because these insectivorous plants, they grow in the area of the soil which is deficient in nitrogen. So now it can't take the nitrogen from the soil. So for that it depends upon the insects. And the examples of insectivorous plants are pitcher plant, sundew, Venice Flytrap, and bladderwort. Now we are seeing first the pitcher plant. Here you can see I had made the figure over here. Here the leaf is modified to form a bag-like structure. First the leaf becomes in the slender form, and then it forms a bag or balloon-like structure. It has got a flap on the mouth of the bag, and as a result, when the insect enters this bag, what happens? This flap closes, and as the result the insect gets trapped over here. Okay, once it gets trapped, it can't come out. So when the insect enters here, it goes on totally falling inside, and it reaches the bottom where it is trapped over here. And here, as soon as these insects reach over here at the bottom, digestive juices are released from the plant, and as the result, it digests this insects over here and fulfills its nitrogen requirement. Okay, so this is what the pitcher plant. Okay. Now, next example we are going to see of what? Sundew. Sundew, you can see from the picture over here that here the leaves of these plants are consisting of hair-like structures. Once the insect sits on this hair-like structures, what happens? It gets stick to the plant and it is unable to move. The next example we are seeing Venice Flytrap. See the structure of the Venice Flytrap, how it is. You can see over here it has got teeth-like structures above it, isn't it? In this teeth-like structures, what happens? We are seeing over here the insect is entering, and if the insect once enters this, what happens? It gets closed and it traps that insect, and the name thus came over here, Venice Flytrap. It traps the flies, okay, and it fulfills its nitrogen requirement. Now you can see the next picture, that is of bladderwort. Here you can see here small bladder-like structures on the plant. These bladder-like structures, here these traps the small tiny insects inside it, and once it gets trapped, actually the covering has got a small doors, and once the insects enter these doors, what happens? It gets trapped. How it gets trapped? Why the insects comes near it? Because it has got some special scent in it, and it is very colorful, and as a result the insects gets attracted towards it, enters this small bladder-like structures through the doors, gets trapped, and as a result this bladderwort attains its nutrition of nitrogen from that insect. This was all about the parasitic plants and the insectivorous plants. Other heterotrophic nutrition which has been given in your book, apart from parasitic mode of nutrition of parasitic plants and insectivorous plants, are saprophytic nutrition and symbiotic. Okay, so here first we are going to study saprophytic nutrition. This is a type of nutrition in which the organism take the food from dead and decaying matter. Okay, and the organism which are performing the saprophytic mode of nutrition is known as saprotrophs. How do they take the food from the dead and decaying matter? Can it take it easily? No. They are microscopic in nature. So in these saprotrophs there are some digestive juices present. It secretes some digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter. It simplifies it to simple sugar, and then it takes in the food. Okay, example of this saprophytic nutrition are mushroom, molds and bacteria. You can see from the figure the mushroom, molds and bacteria. They are very colorful in nature and they can't prepare their own food. They are unable to prepare their own food. They take the food from where? The dead and decaying organisms or dead and decaying matter. Okay. Now we are going to study symbiotic nutrition. Symbiotic, when we are saying here one organism is not involved, here 2 or 3 organisms can be involved. Okay, so first example in this, what happens in symbiotic mode of nutrition? Both the organisms are mutually gaining from each other. They are dependent on each other. For example, when we take the example of algae and fungi, I have said to you, algae are green in color. They consist of chlorophyll, and as the result, it can prepare its own food. But fungi, I said, it is so colorful in nature, isn't it? So it can't prepare its food. So how they are related to each other? This algae provides food to fungi, and this fungi in turn provides shelter to this algae, and as the result a mutual relationship is between the algae and fungi in getting the nutrition. One is getting the nutrition and another is providing shelter to it, and this symbiotic relationship is known as what? Lichen. You can see the picture of the lichen over here. Okay, in this it looks like a crust or a crust over a place, because here there is the structure is so closely intermingled that it looks like that it is only one organism. Okay, now next example which I have taken is that of bacteria and the root nodules of the leguminous plants. You can see in the picture the relationship between this bacteria and the root nodules of the plant. You can see the nodules, they are in the roots, they are having bulging structures. These bacteria are present in this root nodules, these bulge structures. What do these bacteria do actually? It converts the atmospheric nitrogen into the usable form for that plant, and so that plants which are very deficient in nitrogen can take the nitrogen very easily from that nitrogen which is being provided by that bacteria. But what happens in turn, this leguminous plants provides what? These leguminous plants provide shelter to this bacteria and gives them what? Food, because bacteria here can't prepare its own food. This is all about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. I hope so you might have understood it. Okay, good day.